Good afternoon, everyone. I hope the lighting is okay for this video record presentation. Today, we're going to talk and reflect about the image of the child, particularly reflecting on my professional view and image of children and childhood. For this purpose, we are going to address few topics and aspects through our presentation. Firstly, we're going to establish where are my educational views about children and childhood. Secondly, we are going to reflect on how I view this image and view the children and childhood. Thirdly, we're going to reflect about the implication that this view has for my personal educational practices and beliefs. And lastly, we are going to take a broader look to the educational context and reflecting on what are some of the dominant discourse and current image of children and childhood and how it affects our educational professional practices. Let us start and take a look to my professional views about children and childhood. Firstly, let's establish that the image of the child and the concept of childhood has been a subject of changes through history as a social construct. This means that it's a concept that is continuously evolving and flowing. So the challenge of work with evolving and flowing concepts highlights the importance for educators to critically reflect about the cultural, social, political, and historical assumptions and constructions of the image of children and childhood. Nowadays, we are working with a modern childhood concept. These concepts affect how early childhood educators and families are toward and engage with children. Moving further to my professional concept of children and childhood. I believe childhood is a time to explore and expand children's natural creative, innate curiosity and wonder. I also believe childhood is about spending time outdoors, allowing risk taking. This child is empowered to follow his spontaneity, acting with agency, and in partnership with adults and educators. This child is reflective and a critical thinker. The voice of this child is heard as it and acted on as an active member of community or learners. Now, moving forward to explore and reflect how I build this view and understanding of children and childhood. How, as educator, I arrived to this image of children. This image of children and childhood comes in part from the experience of many years spent working with children with a diverse group of families, helping shape an image of the children characterized for being holistic and complex. As well, along with undertaking early childhood studies such as teaching degree, being in contact with many education theories, ideas, and concepts. The image of children learning in nature or natural education is influenced by the experience of working in early childhood service with a strong philosophy in natural environments and natural learning pedagogies, as well as Rousseau legacy and philosophy about the nature as a teacher. I work in a service with a strong natural philosophy and commitment to the nature, bushwalks, and they integrate completely natural on the learning program. And I think that affects a lot my personal view of children and childhood. So for me, these children are capable and competent learners involved in unfolding process. For instance, each child possesses within themselves a potential that is ready to unfold. This belief or image is particularly influenced for Macalusi and Reggio Emilia approach along with consider children as active checkers of inquiries of connection with others and the world that surrounds them, fundamentally social individuals. So the philosophies of theories such as Rousseau also affect my view of the children as are natural risk takers as they attempt to actively reconstruct their knowledge about the world through practice and trial error experiences. Now let us take a look about how this view and image of the child as a risk-taker, competent learner, and independent affects and influence my educational pedagogy. But firstly, let's consider how the image, a concrete image of the child, how it impacts on each educational practices. So let's establish that the image of the child that a specific education holds shapes their role by informing and influencing the expectations that an educator might have of a child, underpinning educator-children interactions. As well, educators' understanding of the child is embedded in the responsiveness or sensitive response to children's ideas, interests, and behaviors. Regarding how my professional and personal view of the child affect my educational pedagogy and how I with children and adapt my practice in regards with it or accordingly, let's establish that as an educator, I endure to providing children with an active role, being able to interact with the environment, both human and physical, making sense of the world and constructing meaning. My practice is also characterized for aiming to honor children's individualities and diversity through providing them with a safe place where they can build and develop their sense of belonging and trust. Also, by providing children with a common space for constructing meaning where sharing strengths, collaboration, and trust. Risk-taking enseigns and promotes with through my educator attitude towards mistakes, embedding risk potential benefits. Sorry, and advocating for this positive view of risk within my learning environment. Considerations for outdoors environments that are purposefully arranged and planned for thoughtfully and intentionally as the indoors learning environment and space. Also form part of my daily practices as I hold a great value for outdoor play and time and the role of the nature for children's learning. Let us go back to the main point. So after describing what are my professional views and imagines about children and childhood, describing and analyzing what are the implications for it for my educational practice as well, let us take a look to the broader context, examining some of the dominant discourses about children and childhood and the current views that affect our educational practices. So, when talking about the dominant discourse relating children and childhood, is referring to some of the statements and assumptions that have remained legally unquestioned and unexamined through history related to children and the concept of childhood. Some of these main dominant discourse about childhood are related to the imbalance of power relationships between adults and children, or educator and child. View the children as immature and innocent. The view of the risk as something to be avoided, especially during these early years of development, is a largest dominant discourse as well. That is based on the socially constructed risk perception, especially in these early years. So, along with the view of risk or dominant discourse about avoidance or the risk, is the considered risk as a risky play or risky outdoor play. That's another dominance discourse happening in childhood, which refer to the conceptions the risks just as risky outdoor play as a risk just being an active experience. The conception of the risks as just risky outdoor play limits the risk and influence the dominant school beliefs about risks being physical and experiments outdoors. After addressing the dominant discourse and cultural image of children and childhood, let us take a look to some of the conclusions um, an aspect addressed through this presentation. So some other conclusions are educators' image of the children and childhood is considered a key influence impacting individual children's learning environment, and informing educators' choices regarding learning opportunities provided and offered. Educators' imagine of the child and conception of childhood is a construct that reflects the socio-cultural context and the dominant discourses about childhood. Become aware our understanding of child and childhood allow us to gain insights into how these beliefs and images shape our pedagogical practices and philosophies. This critical reflection opened the pathways for collective questioning and reflection about universal, conventional, and dominant discourse of childhood. So, as we reach the almost the end of the presentation, these are the references that I used to inform my assessment and presentation regarding the image of the children and the concept of the childhood. This is the end of the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Um, Comment any feedback to sharing experience about the different views and image of the children and childhood through your educator experience. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye. Thank you for your attention.